Venessa Giunta. I am an author and an editor and an all-around like to talk about things person and a little awkward sometimes. One of my favorite things to do is talk to authors, right? I love talking to authors about their process, their writing, their careers, their marketing, all those things. And I really love just sitting down and just talking about stuff. I mean, communication is my love language. So that's really what I had in mind. I really wanted a situation where I could just have a conversation with somebody. So, and a conversation and a cocktail is really all about us hanging out and drinking together and talking about the stuff. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a conversation and a cocktail. And joining me tonight from Multiverse Convention is Allison Charlesworth and Jesse Adams, who are the co-chairs. Hey, y'all.
Hi.
Hey. How's it going?
Thank you so much for joining me. But you've been here before. You guys are like, this is old hats and stuff. So first question is always, what are you drinking?
I'm teetotaling tonight. I have Thai tea that I had delivered just before this started. So if you've never had Thai tea, you really should. It's fantastic.
I love Thai tea. I love it.
So,
Jesse?
Can vouch for that, but this is more like an Irish tea. This would be a nice cascading Guinness.
I love that. I am drinking mead from my favorite meadery, Viking Alchemist. They don't pay me, although maybe I should see if I can get them to sponsor the show since I drink it almost every time. This is one of their seasonal ones. I think it's called Razzmatazz, something like that. It's very raspberry, but it's also got like a little tart note to it. So like sometimes It makes me go, but that's okay.
It is indeed a thing that makes you go,
Yes. They had their 8th anniversary the other weekend, and I went out there, and they always give you like a free flight, and you have to vote on which ones you like because they're the ones that the employees have put together.
Yep.
They had one, they had a buttered popcorn flavor. It was very strange. Wow. So, but yeah, okay. Anyway. Let's get back to Multiverse. So let's talk about Multiverse 2024. Well, let's talk about Multiverse in general first. So you want to share with the viewers what's the impetus behind Multiverse? What's kind of, I guess, the mission of Multiverse?
Like, why are we here? Why do we do what we do? The big question. Part. Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's funny because there's the reasons for starting something, then there's the reasons for keeping it going. And we had ideas in the beginning, which still stand for that. We wanted to create a convention that we felt like was truly built from the ground up to be very inclusive of everyone, like make everyone feel like they really belong in the world of fandom, because they do. Everybody deserves a seat at the table and deserves to feel comfortable and safe attending events, and not to be shut out of like networking opportunities and fun stuff to do. So that was the original impetus, and it's been so much fun that we keep doing it, just because it's the number of awesome people that we've met along the way, and just how much everyone, including us, looks forward to that weekend in October every year, and how I think one of my favorite things is seeing how people change afterward. Like it's not that big a stretch to say that sometimes people do go and then come out a little bit changed on the other side of it, at least in terms of their new friends and their new thoughts on things, and like rejuvenated inspiration and stuff like that. So, that's my quick take on it. I don't know if Allison's got anything to add.
Yeah, I'll actually just add a little bit. I think the conversations is what Jesse means. When you come out of it and you've had all of these amazing conversations that you don't necessarily get to have in everyday life. And Venessa, you said, conversation is your love language, which almost seems redundant until you consider that not all conversations, though, are great conversations. And I think in Multiverse, you come out after having a whole bunch of really great conversations with people who are smart and funny and usually quite goofy. And it just it's becoming a family, I think is how I feel about it.
I feel that way too. And the one of the really cool things that I especially like is the conversations are both on panels, either, if you're on a panel, if you're a guest and you're having the conversation, and if you're in the audience, either witnessing or also sometimes, participating in, because there's a lot of audience participation, but also the conversations you have on the patio at 1 a.m, sitting around with everybody around the fire pits or whatever, like some of those are just really, they can be very like, it can create a paradigm shift sometimes. I mean, or not. It's not like you don't have to, So
sometimes it's just pure silliness too. But that's got its place though, because I mean, sometimes you just really need to laugh a lot, and it seems like it refreshes people over the course of the weekend. And another thing that we've loved seeing is that. So there are a lot of people, and we were Allison and I were both kind of this way in certain ways prior to starting this con, where people a lot of times feel like they're not sure whether they belong in like a fandom environment because they feel like it's only just for hardcore fans or only for fans of certain things. Like you have to be into this particular media property or have to have read these books or whatever. And nobody works that. I mean, it's 2024. Nobody's a fan of just one thing. And there are people who dabble, and there's also a lot more stuff than just your typical down the middle geeky stuff to like. So we've seen people who are, I mean, we love that people bring their own interest to it. Like there's so many curious people that bring an interest in botany or 11th century, like Prussian warfare, like we could be anything, just whatever, anything, linguistics or anything like that. And that contributes to those conversations. Like you end up, it's a welcoming place for people who are into anything. Like as long as we always say, as long as you're kind to other people and treat them with respect, then that's the only bar to entry. Like that's the only requirement to show up. You don't have to be into any particular thing. You don't have to have been doing a particular thing for a certain amount of time. It doesn't matter. Are you good to other people, and are you interested in coming and having fun for a weekend? Then if the answer is yes, then hey, guess what? You get through the gate. The gatekeeping's over.
You're one of us. So let's say there's a bunch of people out there already. I see Anita is here and Rosie. Rosie is one of our new guests. And this is, I believe, the first time she's ever guested. So I'm super excited to have her with us.
Yeah, welcome.
Let's see. Thank you, Maddie.
It really is.
It's really that I'm wearing lipstick because I don't usually. And that makes me look like my whole face is made up. So thank you, though. Thai tea is also Rosie's fave.
Hey, excellent.
And after Joe says, "Man after my own heart, Guinness, one of the many reasons he loves Jessie." So yes, Viking Alchemist Meadery, that's our place. So Guinness, the sack of Guinness is a thing now, thanks to Multiverse. Yes, and y'all have to ask Joe about that. So so it looks like we got lots of folks out there. So huzzah! So good. So let's talk about 2024. There's lots of new stuff coming. So let's start with the guests of honor, though. Who are our guests of honor this year?
So up first, we have Justina Ireland. I'm super excited about this one because she and she's I really artist, right? She is
she's
an
the author. Yeah.
She is one of the most fun concepts I've seen. She did a sort of alternate history of Civil War. There are zombies, and let's just say that although I don't want to give away too much. So let's just say that the alternate history is really fun, especially if you don't appreciate certain parts of the Civil War. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Maybe just
like the whole reason we had to fight it. That
right,
part, we had to fight it.
That reason, yes. She did an amazing job in making that a much more satisfying story. And one of the really cool parts about having Justina is that way back when we first started even talking about having multiverse as a thing, Jessie was handling our Twitter account at that point because I never Twittered. Sorry, guys. Just was not my bag.
You didn't miss much.
But Justina Jesse had asked the community, sort of the book Twitter, what sort of things a convention could do to make it really and truly diverse and inclusive and all of that. And Justina came back with some of the greatest responses I think that we could have asked for. And we really based a lot of how we built out Multiverse on her advice. So having her come as a guest of honor is kind of like completing that circle that started back in 2017. So I think it's just fantastic.
I love that story because I didn't know about that story until you brought her up as a potential guest of honor. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. So, so cool. Very excited. Very excited.
Correctly, your response was like, why haven't you invited her as a guest of honor yet? But it was like at the time, this is when the book that Allison was just talking about, Dread Nation. She's writing brilliant book, and Justina's done a lot of stuff since then. In a lot of different areas, a lot of different properties. There's one of the things I'm going to be buying ahead of time to get signed by her is that she wrote for an issue of Deadpool, the Seven Slaughters run. So she's done stuff for her star has really been rising in the 5 years since 6-7 years since that Twitter conversation.
Yes.
It's super cool having her come back around and she was excited about that too because we told her that story when we reached out to invite her as a guest of honor. We're like, hey, I'm sure you don't remember, but this is what. And so now she gets to come back and see what it's turned into, and that's exciting.
Yeah,
it seems to be pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
I love that idea too. I'm kind of glad that y'all waited a little bit to invite her as a guest of honor because Multiverse is pretty well established now. I mean, we're still growing, we're still changing, we're still trying to, we don't have it all on lock, right? We're still figuring out what works.
I don't know that we'll ever have it all on lock. If we're not willing to change, then we're going against kind of why we started.
Yes. Yeah. So it'll be really cool because, we have it, we have a solid foundation, and however it grows and changes, that's fine. But she gets to see how solidly we've built this. Hello. How solidly we've built this whole, event.
Yep.
So, okay. So
she gets to see how we built it out. She gets to see how we've built it out, and also she's built out her own career in the intervening time too. Like at the time, she wasn't. I don't think we looked at her as a guest of honor because I think it was like her first book was out and it was doing really well, but that she just hadn't been around very long. But since then, she has just been killing it. Obviously, she's hit the New York Times bestseller list multiple times. She's written. She's as they put it on the thing you can see on screen. She's one of the story architects of Star Wars: The High Republic. So. She has really been getting out.
I love in her spare time she writes for TV.
Right.
She is busy. She is a busy person. She stays busy. We can tell you she has been, and not all guests are always this way. She's been responsive and she is as professional as it comes. So I have a feeling she's somebody you can keep a lot on her plate and somehow make it work.
That is fabulous.
Yes.
All right. Who's next?
Why don't we do our artist guest of honor next? This is our artist guest of honor is Lauren Brown, who has been amazing so far as well. An Emmy Award-winning illustrator and art director. She's worked for, the list is crazy. Wizards of the Coast. I think she does a lot of stuff for Wizards of the Coast currently, but EA, Google, Marvel, lots of stuff. And she has this sort of how do you describe the style, Allison? It's like she described it as like a mix of, it's sort of like an Art Nouveau fantasy style. You can see an example of it right there.
It feels very folklore, mythological. It's got that kind of feel to it.
There's like a dreamy watercolor thing to it. There's I don't know. I love her art. The way it makes me feel really nice.
When you guys mentioned her initially as one of the ones, I went and looked at her art and I was just like, wow. Her stuff is gorgeous.
Yeah,
it really is. And she's there's other things about so some of this art you'll see on if you come to Multiverse, you'll have art on your badge by Lauren Brown. There'll be art on the souvenir program book by her as well. And one of the things we also liked is that like I said, no one's just one thing. So Lauren's an amazing artist, but also, as it says there on the site, she's an advocate of inclusion and equity in gaming and animation industries. And she does that, she does it out loud and often. She's not just an advocate in the sense that she tacitly or passively supports those things. She's one of the people out there pushing, like actively pushing for positive change. So that's always something that's going to appeal to us when people are out there doing that kind of work, because that sort of thing matters, especially, you know, the industries that we all kind of touch on are no exception. There's still a lot of work to be done in a lot of areas, and we love when people are out there doing it.
Yep.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, I'm real excited to see her stuff like in person, because, you know, it's really cool to look at it on the computer, but it's never the same as when you see it in person. So I'm really excited for that.
My pocketbook already hates me.
Same. Like, I'm like, okay, let me start up my little spending
savings.
fund.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
like she'll be in our art show, and our art show it's shaping up to be, y'all support artists, but with as good as our artists are going to be this year, it's a good idea to go ahead and start saving up, because it's gonna you just need to be prepared for how good the art's going to be.
Yeah, last year I dropped I think almost $200 just on art. So I don't usually do that either. I don't usually buy a lot of art. But yeah, I bought art. I haven't put it on my wall yet, though. They're framed over there. I got frames and everything, but I haven't put them up yet because I'm basically lazy. So yeah, okay. So that's two.
I love that you say
third one
when you wear like 17 hats, but yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Lazy. Sherilyn Kenyon.
Yeah.
So I had no idea exactly how many things she had written until we, talked about inviting her as a guest of honor. I knew about Dark Hunters. I knew about Chronicles of Nick, but she has something like 70 million books in, like, you know what I mean? Books in print worldwide. It's crazy. That doesn't even seem possible.
Yep. And she's done manga and comics. Like, I didn't know about that.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, until after. So, yeah.
Yeah, she's got. She was talking on one of her live streams recently about how she can't give details of it yet, but there are there's stuff in production for the screen that will be coming out before too long. And one fun thing that she mentioned in her bio also is that so she's had stuff adapted by Marvel. She's got her novels, like all kinds of series. She's super prolific. And the manga, the comics, and #1 best-selling adult coloring books. I think she just does grown-up coloring books too, writes those. And she has just legions of fans. Like, people who are Sherilyn Kenyon fans are dedicated fans. That's become clear quickly, and it's cool to see. So we're glad to provide people an opportunity to get to meet her. By all accounts, everyone we've talked to she goes to conventions and she'll cosplay at conventions, and everyone who's met her, paneled with her, or anything like that, has had wonderful things to say about how she's just very down to earth, great to talk to. That's been our experience so far too. So really excited to have her on board.
Yes. I've known Sherry for many years, as you know, because I am very involved with DragonCon. And so she's always been, like, I'm part of the writer's track at DragonCon. So she's always been on many of our panels over the years. And she cosplays superheroes in Victorian dress. So, like, she has a Wonder Woman whole outfit, and it's like a corset with a little fascinator and all the skirts and all this. It's fabulous. And she's done Batman, and it's just so much fun. And she's very cool. Like, she's very cool. She's funny on panels. So yeah, she's gonna be there. These guests of honor are just giving me so much life.
Oh, it is it's an amazing slate of guests of honor. And then, but like, going beyond that always makes me think, I'm like, wow, what a great slate we have. That's our 3 guests of honor. And we have so many awesome guests that are going to be there. Like, in addition to that, those are just the ones we've published and put up so far, but we've got dozens upon dozens upon dozens of really awesome people.
Yes. And we're going to start announcing those in the next month or so. We are waiting. We finished our final guest selections. Woo, I'm moving around. Hide the Venessa, right? Playing a little shell game. So we should be starting to. We're waiting on some of the guest agreements to come back in, and then we'll be able to start publicizing guests. I'm so excited. We have so many cool guests. All right. And so those of you who are out watching, if you have questions about Multiverse that we haven't hit on, please drop them in the chat, because we are all about making sure y'all know what the heck's going on. Oh, yeah. So, all right. So all kinds of new stuff, all kinds of, oh yes, many that will be featured here soon, the guests. So, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, if I remember. Joe, don't let me forget. So let's talk about what's new. We're doing, like, this year, there's a lot of new stuff going on. So shall we start with the hotel?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So we realized at toward the end of last year that we were outgrowing the place where we've been on the north side of town, north of the perimeter, and just wanted a little room to grow. So we went and checked with a bunch of different hotels, toured them, checked out what they had to offer and everything. And there were some okay options out there. There's some that would work in terms of size and all that stuff, but nothing had really grabbed us until there was one very professional and very patient, but also a persistent salesperson at the Hilton Peachtree City, who kept checking in with us periodically and saying, well, we'd love to get you down here to take a look at the place. So finally we said, for due diligence, we should just go down and take a look at it to see what they have. And Vanessa, I think you were with us that time. We walked in, and 5 minutes in, we're all just looking at each other like we didn't want to tell the salesperson. We were all just like, oh, this is it. This is the one. So it's down in Peachtree City. It's across the street from a gorgeous lake and a library and a really nice park. And it's in Peachtree City, which is it's just barely enough outside of Atlanta, a little south of the airport. It's just barely enough outside to where it feels like you're out in like a pleasant resort type of area. It's green everywhere. It's really pretty and peaceful.
Beautiful.
And it's not very far. It's about the same driving time from the airport to this hotel as it was from the airport to the last hotel. But this time you don't have to go through Atlanta. You just drive
you don't have to go through Atlanta traffic.
Highway. The hotel itself is awesome. They've worked out some really cool stuff for us. It's bigger, so we have more rooms. I'm sure we'll get into the new stuff we're adding to the rooms soon. There'll be more room for everyone to get around. The space for sitting and hanging out, all the seating and everything. There's so much of it, and it's so well laid out. Like it's super comfortable. The rooms are great. They're really nice. Every room has a balcony, no matter what floor it's on or anything. There's free parking all weekend, which if you are used to going to cons in Atlanta, that's huge. Like it's just open free parking all weekend, no charge.
Yeah. That'll save you $100 over the course of the weekend. Easy.
It's no kidding. The food and everything, they fed us when we were down there. It's so good. The staff has been wonderful. Just everything about the place, it grabbed us immediately, and it's only been getting better. So yeah, that's number one thing is the new home.
Which is incidentally also the town where Sherry Lynn resides. So yes, I'm really excited that we're right there by her.
Yeah, she's got some hometown pride going on.
Yes. Yeah, it was so funny when she told me, because I was like, oh, and because I know that she's local in the general Atlanta-ish area. I knew that. So when I was talking to her at DragonCon last year, I was like, oh, and it's a local-ish con for you. And she said, where is it? And I said, Peachtree City. She goes, girl, I live in Peachtree City. I was like, what? Because I thought she lived up in like the metro area, but no, that's she neighbor. She our neighbor.
She's a neighbor.
So yeah. So okay. So we're gonna have lots of extra space. Do you guys want to talk about how we're utilizing the space, or you want to talk about the hotel, like the packages and things that are available?
Allison, you want to talk about the space itself? I think you have a real good layout of that in your head.
Oh yeah, sure I do. No,
I'm sorry. You have it in your
Vanessa probably has it more than I do. But yes, so tons more space. But not so spread out that you feel like you're getting lost. One of the things that I really like about it is that it's the con space proper is separated from the hotel itself. Like it's in the same building. You don't have to go outside to get from one to the other. But when you walk into the con space, it feels different than walking back over to the hotel area.
Just in con space.
Right.
That's it.
And there are several atriums. There are lots of rooms with big windows looking out on courtyards that are just lovely. And everything around is green. It's really, really nice. When you live in Atlanta, sometimes you don't get to see as much green as you would like. We have lots of green, but not necessarily at the con centers. So having that is lovely. The dealer hall and art show space is fantastic. It's bigger than it was at the last place as well. And most excitingly, we have room both for new stuff for this year and new stuff to grow into. What else? What am I forgetting? There's an indoor pool. There's an outdoor pool. There's a very nice exercise center. What else is going on there, Jesse?
A really nice courtyard. There's a big central courtyard where people can it looked like a perfect place to just lay down a blanket in the middle of the day and lay out there and read or play yard games. We may have something like that out there for people to do. There some of the other rooms that are really cool is the gaming room, the one that we're dedicated to gaming. This is bigger than what we've had in the past. So there's more room in it, but it used to be a restaurant. So it has it's this brick walled thing. There's a fireplace. It feels like it's just a really unique feeling room, and it has a sort of natural separation to where we can have some, different types of gaming in different areas of the room, but everything has its own, enough room to do it. It's just a unique space, and important to the gamers who are going to be in there, right across the hall from a bathroom.
Yes. And I really love that room because it feels kind of like you're in somebody's living room. I mean, it's big, but it feels kind of cozy. Yeah. So yes. And Joe asks a question. Gosh, that wasn't a leading question at all. Podcast or broadcast space? Jesse, you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. I guess we're getting into we can get into the stuff that's actually what we're doing with the new room. So we had we always have folks. Joe's one of them for sure, but there are several other people who are content creators of different types. Who like to capture interviews, do streams, even just make a short video. There's a lot of people who have those kind of things, have their accounts they got to keep up with, their Twitch and their TikTok and their blogs and YouTube channels and all that. And but the hard part about doing that in cons is finding a place to do that. You end up interviewing people in the hallway or trying to find a corner that's not too quiet while you got people running by and everything. So we realized we could take one of these extra rooms and actually make it a dedicated space where people who have those needs could sign up ahead of time and use it and have that space to themselves to be able to do a recording, do an interview, whatever it is. So it'll be like a basic equipment setup in there. And you'll be able to sort of bring your own plans and get in there and sign up for a time and then do your stuff in a dedicated space. We're calling Studio 42, by the way. We even got some fun stuff we have an one of those neon on-air signs to put outside the door to let people know we're gonna have fun with it. But yeah, dedicated.
And wait, what's it called?
Studio 42.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. That was Allison's idea, and as she said it, we're all just well, that's the one. There's no.
We don't even have to talk about it anymore. That's it. That's how it's working.
Yeah. So but for podcasters, reporters, all that stuff, there will be a space that you can. We'll put out more information about that and how to sign up, but you can grab yourself a time and plan to have an actual quiet, dedicated space to do your thing.
Yes. Super. Yes, I'm really excited about that. I'm probably not going to have any time to utilize it myself, but I'm really excited about it.
That's fair.
All right.
Maybe a Thursday night before con starts, we should do a, welcome to,
That's a great idea. Live from Multiverse.
Exactly.
It's Thursday night.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
I like that idea. Joe, you got that? You taking notes? All right. Okay, so with the additional space, we have added, oh, good. Thank you, Joe. We have added a track.
Yes. I'm super excited about this one because I've wanted this since year one, and it just has never been something we could add in. Never had enough space and all of that. But we are adding in the adventure track, and it is the kids track. So we'll have a dedicated area run by a person who loves kids, is fantastic with kids, and I believe does it also for their job.
Yes, they are a special ed teacher or teacher in a special ed department and stuff. And honestly, when you think of the perfect person for that role, this is the person you think of. So
we've had some stuff like Allison made these amazing little activity books, like these multiverse themed activity books for kids, and put together these. This was last year. Stuff for them to do. And there's always, anybody with kids knows, if you keep the kids happy, you're going to have a way better time. So this will be, the parents will be able to accompany kids in that track. It's not, it's not daycare, but it will be something where there's something for the kids specifically. Pretty much anytime there's programming going on, they'll have a place that caters to them and make sure that they have a good time, and not just have to try to kind of shoehorn them into things that are, a little more grown up than they're necessarily looking for. It's just fun for kids.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, I'm actually the programming director for Multiverse, and one of the things that we always struggle with, especially a lot of us who run the tracks, don't have kids, or the kids are like grown and well out of the house or whatever, and we've always struggled with having younger panels and things that are accessible for younger people, right? So I'm super excited about this. And we're also gonna, last year we had the Museum of Animation there, and they did a whole thing, a whole class about making an animation thing. I don't know. I wasn't there. But they made little, what are they called? Kinesioscope or something like that? I don't know. But anyway, and it was geared toward kids, but I'm pretty sure that most of the people in there were adults. But that can actually happen in the adventure track this year, right? So absolutely. I'm excited for that. Yay.
And people probably don't know this about me. I homeschooled my kids from the time they were, my son was in first grade and my daughter was pre-K. So both of whom are now graduated. So
empty nester.
Well, they're still living in my house currently, so not quite yet, but so this is just something that I have done my entire, the last 20 years. This has been what my life has been. So having this thing is sort of really great for me, because now not only can I add some stuff into it, but I can get rid of all of the stuff that I have in my house that's geared towards small children that I don't have here anymore.
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
Upcycle, recycle,
absolutely.
Reuse.
I have such good stuff, and I'm like, it's really sad just to get rid of this. And I'm like, look, it's going to be going to a really good cause.
Yeah, that's going to be a great track.
Yes, I'm very, very excited about that. Right. So another aspect that's new, I'm trying to think if we have anything we need to talk about programming wise. I think that's the big new thing, aside from, just having a lot more space and stuff. Oh, one other thing we will have is we will have a room where people can go for cosplay repairs. Nobody's going to be in there to fix your stuff, but it's going to have hot glue guns and, whatever. I don't know what else is needed for cosplay because, like I said, lazy. Too much work, too much commitment. But, we will have at least a space that in the evening is going to be it's going to double as the dressing room for our perfumers. So, but during the day, it'll be accessible to folks to get stuff done, which I'm excited about too.
And also,
go ahead.
I was going to say there may be other new stuff. This is the new stuff that we know about at this point. There may be new stuff too. Just everybody should follow us on social media for sure, because we'll or join the Facebook group if you're not in there yet, because we will always make announcements whenever we confirm some new thing that we're dropping, and there could be a couple more.
Yes, we also have in plans is moving. I think a lot of our programming directors really liked our programming. What do we call them? Track directors. There we go. I'm like, wait, hold on. My brain, guys, just bear with me. Words be very, very hard today. So our track directors will be very happy with this one. A lot of our larger, louder panels will probably be in a room away from the other tracks so that we don't have constant disturbances. I know in the past, with like when Monster Mash is going on, things get very, very loud and you can't hear in the other rooms. So words are squirmy things, Liam. They are indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And usually for the geek tracks, the science fiction, fantasy, and horror tracks, they're in a ballroom that's air walled, right? So there's 3 rooms with air walls, and those air walls do not cut sound at all. And so when things get lit, we have an actual room on completely the other side of the con space that has regular walls, like real walls. So yes, that is.
For anybody who doesn't know, like what they're, if you may not know what they're referring to, especially if you haven't been before, there are certain panels that most of which happen after the dinner break, but they have become mainstays because they are more interactive. And people bring their opinions, and they prepare their opinions well ahead of time, and they are going to get a chance to say them, like the Monster Mash, for example.
They can't prepare their opinions ahead of time for Monster Mash because we don't know who the pairings are.
Yeah, so, Monster Mash, you don't know. Monster Mash is kind of it's sort of a March Madness tournament of villains and monsters, and people advocating on, it's a who would win kind of thing, and man, people get fired up about it. So yeah, that's the
Did we get killed in that one last year? I'm pretty sure that in one of the panels last year, both Jesse and I got sacrificed somehow.
Yeah, Joel Ruiz definitely killed me. I think he spared you.
So.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how that worked. But like Monster Mash is less of a panel and more like a big trash talking nerd brawl is basically what that is. So,
and it's not the only one that gets like that.
No. Okay, so we got some questions. Joe, theater, or is that down the line? So I will say that we do have a big amphitheater that is currently the right track, and that's my hubby. And it's great for showing movies and stuff, but I do believe that at some point in the future, it's not going to be right now, it's not going to be next year, maybe the year after that, we're talking about, we want to implement a film track, right? Or a visual media track is probably a little bit more accurate. So yes, that is definitely in the works.
And then don't want to commit to anything just yet. That's one of those things I was saying may drop later. We just have to confirm some things, but we may, with some of the extra rooms that we have, there may be the ability to do a smaller, more loosely organized screening type of thing this year. That's not a full-on track. Because the big amphitheater, while it is awesome, requires the hotel to let us use their giant, fully professional projection booth, which we have not currently worked out the ability to do.
Yeah, which isn't theirs either. It's actually the equipment is owned by a different company, so it's a whole different thing. So, but at any rate, those are kind of some of the things that we're thinking about for the future, getting a visual media track or whatever, but not right now. Let's see. Liam says, Monster Mash ate my baby. And
it'll do that.
Excuse me, Joe is doing a shout out to Mark Abbott because Mark is the one who hosts Monster Mash every year, and he is fabulous. Yes, a verbal mosh pit. That's exactly what Monster Mash is. All right. Awesome. Very exciting. All right. So, but we also have other things that are new, are some offerings we have as far as food and drink with the hotel. And we've got some packages and things like that. Would you like to kind of give us an idea of what that is? Maybe explain some of the things that are available?
Yeah. Sure. This is one of the things that we loved about dealing with this hotel from the start, is that, to let us use their space, we got to give them something back. Every hotel is like that, and every hotel has different requirements. Sometimes they just want you to write them a check. Sometimes there's a commitment in terms of that you have to meet in terms of how many people stay at the hotel, like book rooms there. And we do have that commitment. And thank you to everyone who's booking and staying at the hotel, because that helps us keep the hotel happy and meet our obligations. The other way that we meet our obligations to them is through food and beverage. Like that's where they want to make their money. That's how they want to make it work for them. So, but they've been really cool about doing this, because a lot of other hotels have that same requirement, but they just give you a number and say, figure out how to meet it. But these folks were like, let's come up with some packages, some classes, some things like that you can do to really make it a good offering to people, not just turn us loose to go figure out how to, and just hope people go eat in the restaurant or something. So they've worked out some really good stuff with us. Like you can pre-purchase meals. There's let's see, it's dinner Friday, all 3 meals on Saturday, and then breakfast and lunch on Sunday. You can buy them a la carte one at a time, or get them as a package. And the 2, I think, coolest parts about this is one is that all of these, whether it's a la carte or the packages, taxes and tips are already fully included. So like whatever, if you buy one of those packages, that's all you pay, you're done. And the reason that's really good is because if you've been to a lot of cons before, you know that remembering to eat and finding food and doing all that is always, it's one of the biggest pains, because you get in the middle of stuff and suddenly you're like, oh, I haven't eaten in 14 hours. What am I going to do? Where do I even go? And this way you go ahead, you're already set. Like, especially if you buy, like, say, the weekend package, your meals are taken care of ahead of time. All you got to do is walk into the restaurant, sit down and eat, and the food is good. So those are, and every one of those, like, if you're going to eat anyway, especially if you were going to eat in the restaurant anyway, this is a way to have it taken care of ahead of time with the taxes and gratuities included. And it helps Multiverse toward our obligation to the hotel. So those are really good. And
if you have dietary restrictions, we also are working with the hotel right now to try to come up with, like gluten-free options and things like that to make sure that we're being inclusive on that front as well.
Yeah. And one question we've gotten a few times to go ahead and answer is that we will still have our con suite like we always do. This is not to replace that, but not everybody eats at the con suite. Sometimes you don't have time. Sometimes you want to, sit down and have a meal in the restaurant. So it's just another option. And they also they went a step further and added some other stuff. Like there's a wine tasting that's I think that one's on Friday evening. Then their staff is just fantastic. They have their chef there, and the whole staff are great. So you can do a wine tasting there. You can purchase that ahead of time. Limited numbers of those. So if you want it, you got to get it before they run out. Same goes for the cocktail mixology class, which I think is pretty exciting. Like you learn the kind of tips and techniques for making a couple of favorite cocktails. And the best part about the wine tasting and the mixology class is you get to drink the results. Like it's like going and buying a couple of drinks, but you're actually getting to make them yourself and learn a little something. And yeah, so those are good options too. You can add those on if you like. And then
those also will happen during like the dinner break that we usually take. So we usually take dinner break between, is it 6:30 and 7 and 8:30? Is that right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So 7 to 8:30 is usually the dinner break. And so those classes will be during that time so that they're not against programming. So you won't miss any of the Multiverse programming if you do those.
Yep.
Yes. Exactly. And Joe says, got my drink package. The hotel may regret that option. So you want to talk about the drink?
Yeah, I was going to get there because that's another one you can get ahead of time. Would be the Saturday night open bar. And we like to do it upright because, like, if you ever, it's nothing against any hotels, but if you ever have had drinks in a hotel bar or anything like that, they're going to get their money. Like it's not the cheapest place to get drinks. So the way to do it, if the option is there, if there's an open bar option that you can get ahead of time, you will save yourself some money. And we didn't want to, this isn't just like for an hour. This is for 4 hours on Saturday night during the late night programming and the Saturday night party. So yeah, 4 hours, all you can drink. We'll make sure there are some decent brands, beers, wines, everything for you, and non-alcoholic drinks too. That'll be included. Although that's debatable whether the value's there if you're just going to be drinking Coke. But yeah, so that's a really good option, is the Saturday night open bar. And then we've packaged it all up together. Like if you just want to have everything done ahead of time, you can get what we call the Everything Everywhere package, which is you get all 6 meals that I mentioned, plus the wine tasting, the cocktail mixology class, Saturday night open bar, and your con t-shirt, just all in one package. So a lot of options there. They're all on the checkout page. So when you go to get your membership, they're all right there and you can just get it all at the same time.
And now what if people have already bought a membership? Can they then go back in and buy those other things?
Yep, you can go back anytime and pick them up.
And so can the guests. That means the guests can utilize them too.
Yes. Yep, it's just on the regular registration page. You can actually go in there and pick and choose which things you want.
Yep.
That is fabulous. Yeah. Aryan says, magic words, open bar. Yes, absolutely.
We had,
I think we didn't. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that Joe was right about it being like, they may not have, I don't think they've had a convention at this hotel before. So they might have underestimated what offering an open bar is actually going to do. Like we've run into this before. We always tell them, like, figure out about how much it'll be about this many people. So figure out about how much you would normally stock for that many people, double that, and then probably add a few.
I mean, there are an awful lot of writers at Multiverse. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Yes. But that's going to be very exciting because I don't think we've had an open bar like that. How much is the open bar? Do you remember? Is it like $40
It's
or
$40?
Like
That's
yeah.
Tax and everything
I mean,
included too.
Honestly, if you've ever gotten hotel drinks, that's like 2 drinks with tax and tip. That's like really 2 drinks right there. Yep. Easy. So yeah, so very, very excited about that. I feel like I'm going to buy one of those. Although I hardly ever make it to the damn dance party, so maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
I believe we have a second bar location that's going to be located. Where's that one, Jesse? Do you remember? Is that outside?
I haven't decided where to put it yet, but there
okay.
will be.
But it'll be closer to some of the other programming. So do you know what I mean? We'll spread them out. So there'll be 2 locations where you can get those drinks.
Getting drinks from the pub, whatever we set up the other bar, that also helps us out. Like all these things get us closer to our obligation with the hotel. So we appreciate it.
So I have another question. So if people didn't purchase the open bar, but they want to get a drink at the bartender, they can still pay for it, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Awesome. And we still get credit for that.
Yes.
Yep. We confirmed that for sure.
All right.
Yeah, Rosie's right. It might just be a drink and a half once you factor in the tax and tip.
For real.
Yeah, for 4 hours, like $40. That's $10 an hour. You can't even get that at a regular bar, much less a hotel bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. I think last time I got 2 drinks at a hotel bar, it was like $36. Yep. That's insane.
It is.
So, all right. I feel like that's. Oh no, I do want to talk about one more thing before we. Y'all, if you have questions, put them in the chat now, and we'll get to those. But I do want to talk a little bit about what makes a con function, because we don't get paid, right? Like, right. No. But we have to have bodies, right? So Multiverse volunteer applications, I believe, open June 1st.
Should be June 1st, yeah.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to volunteer, number 1, what do they get out of it? Mm-hmm. And number 2, what can they expect?
Do you want to start, or you want me to start?
I can start, or you can toss it off to you real quick. So, yeah, there's a lot of different departments to volunteer in, kind of like based on what your skill sets are, what your likes are. If you like to interact with people more, there's stuff for that. There's registration and other forward-facing things. If you're more of a tech kind of person, we can always use tech help on the back end. Like there's kind of something for everybody. So, Allison, do you want to tell them about like what to expect and what they get?
Sure. We have an amazing volunteer director this year, Allison Harper, who is organizing and working with everybody to make sure you get the schedule that you want and the departments that you want, that sort of thing. So what you would do is, if you go to the website, there is a place that says Get Involved up in the top menu. You can find volunteer there. The volunteer application will open in June. You fill that out, and then Allison will get in touch with you to confirm that she received your application and approve it. And then closer to con, and especially once the schedule is out, what you'll do is fill out a survey that basically says, when you would be available. So when you would be on site, so that, if you're working on Friday and you're not going to be there until Saturday morning, we will not assign you a Friday night spot. If you have a particular panel you want to go to, you make sure that you leave that off your schedule. And that way you can go and see the programming that you want to see. We basically ask that you work about 12 hours, and that includes anything from helping with load in, load out. You can choose registration. There are different tracks. If you are a person who likes lots of variety, you could choose to be what we call a floater, which means you sort of run and do whatever's needed in the moment. So you will get, for volunteering for those 12 hours, you'll get your 3-day membership to the whole con, all the activities that are normally included. You are invited to come and do. You get an exclusive Multiverse volunteer shirt. You get a badge and access to the all volunteer party after. Yes, there was one after the con. So Venessa was just showing one of the previous years. Yes. So that was 2022, I think.
21?
Is that 21? Yeah, 21. Yes, because 22 was the Horky. No, it wasn't.
Was it 22?
I think it was 22. Anyway, sorry guys. Time has no meaning anymore.
Yeah, right. What is time even?
Since 2020, I have no idea what year I'm in. But yeah, so we usually have a party at the end, after everything's shut down and we've packed everything out, then we will hang out, have some food and have some drinks and just relax. Celebrate having finished the con successfully.
Having done it again. Also, I will note that there's almost always 1 or 2 gigantic cardboard boxes that have a whole bunch of random stuff in it that people are welcome to take home. Like,
yes.
I found the weirdest things in those boxes.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I have issues. I collect things throughout the year to put into the volunteer things, and then many guests and dealers and people will donate other things, and so whatever ends up in there, once Allison says you can go and start looking, then you can go and start looking and pick a prize.
One good thing about volunteering is if you know people who might want to volunteer, it's a really good way for folks who maybe aren't familiar with conventions in general, or for people who just like to stay busy. Some people are just like that. If you're going to be somewhere, you want to have something to do. It's a really good way, getting behind the scenes and just seeing how it all works. You get to meet everybody. Like, it's the behind the scenes view of the whole deal is a really cool way to be a part of it, especially if you kind of don't know. If you're not sure what you would do when you get there, but you're interested in going, volunteering is really not a bad way to get your feet wet.
It's a good way to meet people too.
Yeah.
So you meet the other volunteers, you'll meet, track directors, you'll almost certainly meet us.
I mean, for a brief moment, as the flash that is Allison goes running past.
I don't intend to always be running, but I usually am.
That's a co-chair. Look, he goes.
I'll smile and wave as I run.
Yes, absolutely. I will also note, for folks who aren't sure you want to use your convention time to volunteer, we always need help on load in on Thursday night and load out on Sunday evening.
Yes.
So if you would rather leave all of your con hours free, you can get a good portion of the hours you need to in load in and load out.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely that.
And we have made load in and load out a lot easier because most everything will be on rolling shelves.
Yes.
So that was brilliant.
So much better
last year. Oh my gosh. I don't know why nobody has ever thought of that before now.
It's such a time saver. God.
A back saver.
Oh, yes. We were watching the moving guys roll the big rolling shelves full of stuff onto the truck, and both of us are standing off to the side just going, this is the best decision we've ever made. Like, we were just imagining how our backs would feel 20 minutes into it. And these are young guys. They're 20 years younger than us. It's no problem for them. And I'm like, I would be dying and we'd be at 1/10 of the way done. Yeah. But once we get the stuff into the hotel, we still need help distributing it. So load in and load out are always helpful.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I think that was it. So Joe has a question.
Yes.
How can we help you the most, especially on the days of, so that you all actually get some sleep this year and get to join us in the fun? Because we love you all and want you to have a chance to enjoy this experience for once.
Yeah, we often joke that we've never actually been to our own con.
I went to a panel and a half last year, y'all. Like, I actually managed a panel and a half. I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, so I actually anticipate us being a little better off this year. Last year, part of the craziness was because of an error on the part of the hotel. And this year, the hotel that we're working with, they have been so amazing. And they are really on top of things. I do not anticipate having any sort of issue like that again.
I agree.
We have a pretty full slate of directors in place.
We still have a couple openings.
So what openings do we have?
We have 2 openings for assistant directors, one for the horror track and one for the sci-fi track. And you can find applications if that's something you feel like you might be interested in. You can find the application on the website. I think it's also under Get Involved, and it says open programming positions, I believe.
It does.
So please feel free to apply.
Yep.
And we especially are interested in people who are from marginalized groups. We're especially looking for people of color. We're especially looking for LGBTQ folks, for disabled folks, for neurodivergent folks. I mean, I feel like the majority of our staff is at least one of those things.
There's usually several, 1 or 2 or whatever, but at least one.
Yeah, it's not even like it's the vast majority of our staff. And that's like, to kind of tie things back to what we were talking about in the very beginning, that's partly by design, because like we want to seek out folks like that, because that's part of like we were saying, building it into having something that's built this way from the ground up. That means having people from all those groups be represented in the actual process of building the thing, in the process of decision making, having a seat at the table and having a voice, and then actually being part of it. Because we found, you talked about how great the conversations are. That's a big reason why, because it's not several hundred people who are all exactly like each other and just talking about the same old stuff they've been talking about for 30 years. It's people bringing fresh perspectives and things you never thought of, and just ways of looking at the world that you've never experienced. There's so much of that because of all the participation of all the groups you just mentioned. It makes panels far more interesting because people bring some like really fascinating perspectives. And like you said, just the conversations you have sitting on the patio get way more interesting, because you just never know who you might end up talking to, but it's guaranteed they're going to have something interesting to tell you.
I think one fun thing that we forgot to mention is, since all of the rooms have balconies, I believe we're going to try to have a balcony flag decorating contest. So if you are interested and you have one of our 4 main mascots that you particularly identify with.
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. We didn't even talk about that. So we've still got a few more minutes. So let's talk about it.
All right,
Tell us about the houses.
Yes. So we generally have the 4 main, we have more than this, but these are the 4 main ones that we sort of decided at the beginning would be representative of sort of the universes themselves. So we have Universe Dragon there that Venessa was just showing. We have Verse Lycan, so that's werewolves. We have Verse Alien, and that is aliens, UFOs. And then we have Verse Kraken, which is the octopus kraken-y guy. So each one of them kind of just has a different feel, appeals to different groups of people. It's been kind of interesting watching everybody kind of make their own alliances and stuff. So it's all in good fun, friendly competition, no ugly competition, but we would love to see people jump in and start to create flags and do all of that. We'll also have some pre-made flags if you don't feel like being crafty, but feel free to go crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. And we have con games that happen throughout the weekend where you can score points for your verse.
Absolutely.
And then whichever verse wins at the end of the con, they're the focus verse of the next year. Correct. So what's this year's verse?
This year's verse is Alien. For the first time, Alien has won. I'm super excited because that's my verse.
And that's why there's
no, this way. There.
This way. Yes.
The official con shirt has for this year has an alien design done by this really cool artist, Steven Yoyada, that we found. It does this sort of like almost like retro semi-psychedelic style, and we have this really cool alien that he created for us. Yeah, so that's how that works. Is you get the con game is really fun. We've simplified it last year and it started to catch on, where now you can just pick up a little booklet, and it's kind of like you think of the quest menu in a video game. Like it's a list of things you can do either at specific times or just whenever you get to it. And it's sometimes fun stuff. It's like, go find this thing, go talk to this person, go do this different thing. And you're just racking up your points. And all those points get you closer to, they'll get you entered into drawings for prizes, and also score points for your chosen verse. So, and it gets you kind of out and about and mixing and stuff like that. One of the ones last year was that you could get points for coming and saying the word toot to one of the con chairs. So we had a few people just randomly, we'd be sitting somewhere discussing something, and a random person we've never seen before would run up and say toot and then run off. And then they'd have to come back.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you guys were having that experience. That's fabulous.
There were a couple of times when the one panel that I managed to sit through the whole time, somebody like tiptoed in and just went toot, and then tiptoed back out. It was
okay. The other thing about Multiverse is that there are all these ridiculous little in-jokes that happen. Do not feel left out by that, because you will be part of in-jokes.
Yes,
like every year, and one of the things, especially during the lockdown and stuff, we have a Friday night happy hour. You guys want to talk about that for a second on the Discord?
Yeah. So it started out on Zoom originally. We started that in April of 2020. So that was 4 years ago we started that. This is when everyone was like, nobody could get out, no one could go do anything. And so we just started doing every Friday night, just a happy hour, completely informal, no set topic. You don't have to bring it, just show up, decompress, talk about your week. And a lot of people started showing up for those, and it quickly turned into some of the most absolutely off the rails but memorable conversations I've ever been a part of. I mean, so much interesting stuff came out of that, but also a lot of really good friendships. Like I think a lot of us we all made friends for life in those calls. And even now that most people are able to get out and do things on Friday night if they want to, we moved it over to Discord. So we have a happy hour channel in our Discord, and it's just whoever wants to pop on. Sometimes it's a few people, sometimes it's a lot, but it's always an option to get on there on Friday night, sometime after 7. Most people show up around, 8:30, and just do the same thing. Decompress about your week, meet folks, talk about whatever. It's just a free flowing thing and goes until everybody wants to go to bed.
And that varies. That could be 10 o'clock or that could be 3 a.m. You just never know.
That's true. That's true. And so one of the things, if you guys see any references to potatoes at con or in the Facebook group or anything like that, just understand it came out of the happy hours during. So you'll have the opportunity to become a part of all these stupid little in-jokes and stupid little toot, like all this stuff,
right.
And no one's gonna it's important to us. We've been clear about that from the start. Everybody's on board with the fact that those in-jokes are not to keep anybody out. You want to know what it's about and be in on the joke, we'll tell you. This is not just not a you had to be there. It's you just be here now.
Well, and a lot of them evolved as well. So the potato thing started because Rob was highly unamused by the acting chops of a couple of famous actors and actresses. And so he was like, you may as well just put a potato in there, And for some reason, we all found that absolutely hysterical. And so I sent him a potato in the mail with the actors and actresses engraved on it, so that he got literally a potato with all those actors and actresses' faces. And
that's still one of my favorite stories.
Then someone else sent him potato socks. And so he started getting all of these potato things. And then we just started calling ourselves the Potato Squad. And so now everyone who comes to Multiverse is part of the Tater Squad. So
yes, you don't get a choice. I mean, you always get a choice. You can always say, oh, I don't know those people. But you don't really want to.
Sort of by opting into Multiverse, you become a tater. So if you really hate taters, just let us know and we'll find you an alternative. But yeah.
You could be a rutabaga.
I guess. I love rutabagas.
Rutabagas are great.
They are.
Tater Squad represent.
That's right.
All right. Joe says he has some video from Multiverse. I think it was 2 multiverses ago, the jousting moment. If we want to share that,
Yes.
we would like to share the jousting moment. So this happened in the meat track, which is MEET, y'all, not MEAT, although it could at some point incorporate that. Who knows? At any rate, and that is our track that has meetups and has lots of different things that don't necessarily fall under the purview, like they don't easily fit into another track. There'll sometimes be music jams, and there's tarot classes and tea leaf reading and military meetups and just all kinds of stuff. So then this happened.
This is going to go on continual after dark.
Yep, spontaneous unicorn joust.
That's a perfect representation of Multiverse right there.
That really, really is. I don't think it can be any better.
Yeah.
So,
especially seeing as one of those people is one of the foremost, Shakespeare, academics in the U.S. right now. So that's fantastic.
You're muted, Vanessa.
Uh-oh.
You got muted.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I am muted. Sorry.
Yep.
I know that there was an echo when I had mine open, so I keep trying to remember to mute, and then I forget to unmute. But knowing we got shown that last year when Kofu took over a unicorn chair in the meetup room. Yep. So yeah, and knowing AJ, I've known AJ for a long time, I never would have pegged him for doing that. Although in hindsight, it actually does make sense with him. But he's so you don't get that vibe from him unless you know him, right? So yeah, so
I'd like to encourage silliness.
Absolutely. So, all right. So I want to say really quickly, I'm going to thank you in just a second, but I want to talk. Remember, I mentioned that we have the Go Indie Now Multiverse Spotlight. So we did this for the first time last year, and Joe Compton is just fabulous. In case you don't already know that, which you probably do if you're watching this. But so last year we started with this, and what this is on Friday nights, although this year we're expanding and also doing it on Monday evenings. So Friday nights and Monday evenings, there'll be a 1-hour multiverse spotlight. There'll be 2 staff members, volunteers, guests. So it might be a director, it might be a guest, it might be an artist, it can be, I don't know, could be anybody. And so that'll be happening twice a week on Monday and Friday, from May until August, I believe. And then that's right, Joe? August. And then take a break, come back in September. So I guess through July, and then come back in September, and then have them again up until the Monday before Multiverse, May through July, and then September to October. Yes, I got it right. Yes.
Excellent.
So if you guys are interested in hearing from some of the guests, if you're interested in hearing about behind the scenes stuff that the track directors do, or you want to learn more about who they are, any of the folks who are associated, the Cooper, who looks exactly like John Barrowman, but 20 years younger. If you want to hear from the Kitchen Witch, who runs the Con Suite, if you all these folks will be on there. Hopefully, we'll see. I don't know. I can't make them, but yeah. So definitely, you want to tune in if you want to learn more about Multiverse. Please tune in, and keep an eye on and see who's going to be on and learn all about the people who are involved. So. All right, Alice and Jesse, do you have any last words that you want to say about Multiverse for folks?
I would like to mention, because we sort of ran out of time, that we do have a couple of sponsors that we have not talked about yet. Yeah, I ran out of time on those. We have
we got time.
Okay.
We got time.
Inked Publishing, run by Kevin Davis and a whole crew of great people. And they put out all sorts of anthologies. Kevin writes plenty of stories, lots of really great stories himself. But Inked has been with us for the past 2 years and then is back this year as our premier sponsor. And you
want to mention the contest? There's a writing contest.
Jesse actually wrote up some of the stuff about the writing contest, so I will let him do that portion.
Well, it's so Inked Publishing is doing they're doing a writing contest. It's reprints are okay if you're a writer. It doesn't matter if it's been submitted elsewhere, if it's been printed elsewhere. This is just for writers within the multiverse community, and you can submit your story. You can find the guidelines on Inked Publishing, and they give out they give out for real prizes too. Like you're not just going to get a nice certificate would be a wonderful thing, but they'll give you like money and prizes. So enter the contest and check it out. They're really good people, and they publish great stuff. And the contest is a good way to, they put a story out there that you were hoping would find a home and find some readers. And they have a good group of people to vet them and declare a winner.
And you can see information about it on our social media, and then also at inkedpub.com. It's INKD pub.com. And then another one of our sponsors is Falstaff. Most people in the con world have met, seen, or heard John Hartness, one of the three at least, who runs a fantastic press. All sorts of books. They have several different imprints at this point, and they sponsor and have sponsored since inception, actually, since 2019, our Author's Alley. So falstaffbooks.com is their website, and they are always, they literally have any genre that you want to find, you'll find something there. And then Joe, of course, with Go Indie Now, which you know about if you're here, I'm sure. But if not, please check out Go Indie Now. And last but not least, would you like to talk about Joel really quickly?
Oh, yeah. And one other. So I'll get the last two. So, yeah, Joel Ruiz, who, if so another one that you probably at least heard and most likely seen around the con, so with a penchant for extraordinarily noticeable dress and right, suits made out of sequins, etc. Really hilarious guy. Does a lot of really good.
Definitely best dressed.
Yes, always.
Oh, absolutely, like hands down. So he has a podcast studio where, like, a full service podcasting studio where you can go and do your recording and everything like that, called Do You Validate? And Do You Validate is going to be helping us set up Studio 42 as our podcasting and streaming space. They're sponsoring that space for us because they have the technical expertise that we don't have. That's what they do, that's what they do for their job. So they'll be sponsoring that for us and setting it up. So you'll see them there. And another one that we want to make sure we don't miss is Chaotic Good Fitness.
Yes.
That is Kira Harbison. They were a sponsor for the first time last year and just blew it out of the water. I mean, absolutely amazing. They contributed to programming by doing some really clever classes. Like they do a very friendly, very welcoming fitness business, like, teaching people, meeting them at their level. And also very sensitive to people of all gender presentations, of all the neurodivergences and everything like that. It's geared toward helping people find a healthier lifestyle in the ways that work for them. And they did some programming for us last year, some classes on things like one that people still talk about is the Dino Nuggies and Beyond, which was nutrition for the neurodivergent. Which it's a funny title, but it dealt with, the actual challenges that can come with various neurodivergences and what can make it difficult to stay on track nutritionally. And they have just a real knack for coming up with really engaging, relevant classes that speak to people about their health. So you can expect to see more of that this year from Chaotic Good Fitness.
Yes.
Yeah, they did one last year, a fitness class specifically for crafters.
Yep.
So, to keep mobility and stuff in your hands and wrists and fingers. So I can't speak I can't speak highly enough of all of our sponsors. Like, they're all so fabulous.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right. anything else you want folks to know?
Just thanks to everybody who continues supporting us. We're super grateful for it. We realize coming into this will be our 6th year, but our 5th in-person convention, and that's a milestone. And we started the con 3 months before COVID showed up, a brand new con starting right then. So the fact that we're still here is pretty amazing, and still growing to boot. So we have all the thanks in the world for folks who have stuck with it and kept helping us make it awesome, because we got nothing without all y'all.
Yep. And if you have never been and you're interested in conventions but you've always felt nervous, I really feel very comfortable saying this is a great con to start with too. Yeah. We're not overwhelming. We're really welcoming. And there's really not much gatekeeping going on at all. If there is, please let us know ever, because no.
Yeah.
But yeah, come and hang out with us and join the Tater Squad. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being here and talking a little bit about Multiverse 2024. And as always, it's always time to go indie now.